Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news. This is the business of sports.
Sports are the greatest unscripted show on earth.
The next generation of players really grew up with tech and believe in tech.
Your face is your ticket. Your face is your wallet. Your face is your access to a club.
These are such iconic and important buildings for businesses, for fans.
COVID was one of the best things that ever happened to golf.
The NFL is a bulletproof business.
Racing's unique because there is absolutely no reason why we can't compete with the guys.
Come on, is pro pickleball real? Are people really going to tune into this?
If you're playing Moneyball with a huge bag of money, you're going to be really, really good.
Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Bloomberg Business of Sports, where we explore the big money issues in the world of sports. I'm Michael Barr.
And I'm Vanessa Perdomo.
Damian will be back next week. Coming up on the show, we'll talk with former NFL Pro Bowl tight end Greg Olsen. I said Greg Olsen.
Newton steps up, close for the end zone. Olsen, touchdown!
We'll talk to him about the NFL season so far and about his Youth Incorporated project. We'll also talk about an MLB slugger that has his sights set on a new high-tech golf course outside of New York City. All that and more is on the way on the Bloomberg Business of Sports. But first, a new athlete has reached billionaire status this week.
That's right, Michael. Superstar Cristiano Ronaldo has become the very first billionaire active soccer player, with a net worth climbing to $1.4 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
Ooh, that's Damian Sassower money. Bloomberg's Dylan Sloan has some reporting on this. He's here now to break down how Ronaldo reached billionaire status. Dylan, welcome to the Bloomberg Business of Sports.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Give me some tips, because I want to get paid too. How did he become this rich?
You really said it, I have to say. Saudi Arabia is a really big part of that. So we've been looking at, at the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, a number of professional athletes for a while, especially in the soccer world. And one of the things that stood out to us about Ronaldo and his wealth is that, he's been one of the best players in the world, one of the best paid players in the world for decades now at this point. But it really is this transfer to Saudi Arabia in the past 4 years that's really leveled up his wealth in a different way. So, he played for years in England, in Spain, he had a stint in Italy as well. But the amount of money that he's been paid at Al Nassr, his club based in Riyadh, has really been what's brought him over the line and led to this $1.4 billion fortune that we've calculated for him.
I think the interesting thing there is that you brought up all the different places he's played and how those things have gone into his net worth. But it's really the first time that we've seen an athlete reach this billionaire status because of their play on the field, right? Can you elaborate on that uniqueness?
Yeah, absolutely. So a number of the other athletes that we looked at recently, we looked at Federer a few months ago. We've done valuations on other athletes like Michael Jordan and LeBron James. A lot of those come from off the field, from endorsements, from investments, something like that. For example, Roger Federer, who we looked at a few months ago, the biggest chunk of his net worth is actually from this investment in On Holdings, the Swiss running shoe company that he made. But for Ronaldo, it really is his earnings. It really is what he's made from playing on the field. And while he does have a number of outside investments that we dug into, none of those have really been significant drivers of his net worth. And that's a testament to him, I think, that it really is his star power, his talent on the field, and what teams have been willing to pay out for him that's led to this fortune.
Now, let's bring it into focus, because part of this $1.4 billion, because he also has a contract with Armani, and also Nike. Now, I don't have any contracts except with PF Flyers, and we can see how that went. Can this lead to more endorsements for Ronaldo, and can we see that fortune grow even more?
Right. And one of the things that we've seen with a lot of other athletes in this space is that even after they retire, these endorsement deals have become a significant source of income for, years or even decades afterwards. So that Nike deal for Ronaldo is still ongoing. He's been earning tens of millions of dollars a year as a major brand representative for them. And we do expect to see Ronaldo's fortune continue to grow, over the next years and decades. Actually, he recently signed an extension at the Saudi club Al Nassr this past summer. We haven't included any of those earnings in our valuation of his net worth. That's not money in the door yet, but that'll be, it's looking like likely hundreds of millions of dollars at least, and that's just in contract earnings. And then, of course, like you're saying, potential future endorsement deals that he hasn't even signed yet. So for him, it's really been, here now in the twilight of his career. He's in his 40s. We're not sure how much longer he's going to continue to play, but certainly there could be a lot more money coming in the door for him.
I think the interesting thing to look at, and Michael, you pointed out there, is like the getting to this level of net worth and the Saudi contracts and all that thing. But it also came with a lot of criticism, right? When it first happened. And then at that time, you also had Messi go to MLS. And there was this comparison of, he's obviously going to get more money in his contract, but will Messi get more in terms of endorsements for being in the U.S. market? Mm-hmm. So how would you compare the two, as in what's more important, what's more significant? Was it Messi, what he's done for the MLS, being in the U.S. market, or Ronaldo in Saudi? Yeah, that's a really interesting comparison and something that we looked at closely for this story. I mean, throughout both of their careers, which have progressed, on very similar timelines, they've been two of the best players in the world, two of the best paid players in the world. But yeah, it really has been a marked difference over the past few years, like you're saying, with Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia, Messi coming to the U.S. But in some ways, those two deals are actually closer than you might think, and both of them are structured in sort of new ways that we haven't seen with major soccer contracts in the past. The big thing there is both of those two athletes are reportedly getting an equity stake in part of the team that they're playing for as part of the deal. Messi is expected to have an option to purchase part of Inter Miami, become a co-owner of the club there. And then Ronaldo's new contract, this extension over the summer, also reportedly includes an equity stake in Al Nassr in the team. So that's something that, players just haven't really been able to command in the past. This is sort of a new perk, a new addition to this type of deal. And given the direction that we've been, seeing sports franchises, not just in the soccer world, but, across all leagues and all sports going over the past few years, that could end up being something very lucrative for the both of them down the line. It's something that they've tried to do in the NFL, right? Some NFL players have tried to say, hey, put that in my contract. And they're a little bit, they said no. It was like a quick no from the NFL. But do you think that the star capital that Messi and Ronaldo have for the sport of soccer is what allows them to do that? Yeah, I think I can't speak too much to sort of what's going on inside the MLS, but I know that when that deal was announced, that was a huge draw for them and a huge draw for the league. And I know that Bloomberg recently put out a story sort of talking about that, about, the star power of Messi, and not just for Inter Miami specifically, but also for Apple, who's the MLS's exclusive streaming partner, and for that whole ecosystem of business around there. That's been a really big draw. I should also mention that as part of Messi's deal as well, not only was it an equity stake in Inter Miami, but also there's a revenue sharing agreement with Apple as part of that deal. So the terms of that aren't disclosed, and it's hard to tell exactly what his cut of that is, but he's reportedly receiving income as part of the Apple MLS streaming deal. So again, just another example of sort of the new innovative perks and mechanics that he and other star athletes are able to command in some of these deals.
I want to talk about Al Nassr, the team that he went to, Riyadh based. Before he went there, you didn't know anything about this team. Mm-hmm. Who? What do they do? Now they're all over the map around the world. Right. And he was sort of one of the first players to really make that move to add some serious star power to the league. And since then, they've seen a number of other major European players making the move over there. Karim Benzema, who's a teammate of Ronaldo's at Real Madrid, moved there a few years ago. Another Portuguese player, João Felix, joined as well. So you've got a number of other athletes sort of making the trip now. He was sort of one of the first people to break ground. But certainly, and they've done a good job of not just playing their games in Saudi Arabia, but also playing internationally. I think that they've played some matches in Hong Kong that have been really well received, and they're definitely growing, utilizing Ronaldo's star power for sure, but becoming much more of a global brand. And what we saw actually this year with the Club World Cup was Al Hilal. They advanced to a stage that no one really thought they were going to. They beat Manchester City, advancing to the quarterfinals. So it would seem that the bet they're making on soccer is paying off. Do you think we'll now see more players going there, or be taken more seriously as a league?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of players, I have to say just the financial power that they're able to wield, and these deals that they're able to offer players is certainly proving to be a big draw. Ronaldo, obviously, a clear example of that. I mean, if you're able to play athletes hundreds of millions of dollars, and not even for long-term deals, but for Ronaldo, we're talking about 2-year deals. These are players who are towards the end of their careers, not necessarily young players in their prime. So, if you have a league and if you have owners who are willing to pay up and attract those types of players, can definitely be a real opportunity for growth.
I have to bring this up. I know I'm going off the board here a little bit, but LeBron James, he fooled me. I have to admit, it was as everybody knows, 2010. He had what was called the decision, which was a big televised event that he was going to Miami. And then several days ago, he said, okay, I've got a big decision here. And I'm like, oh, is this going to be the end of his career? And then he's selling cognac.
What's your decision? In this fall, man, this is tough. In this fall, I'm going to be taking my talents to Hennessy VSOP.
Your thought, did he fool you like he fooled me?
Not I. I'll say when I saw it, I was like, this is going to be some sort of gimmick. I didn't think it was going to be like that. I didn't know if he was going to fake out people that hard, but I'm very skeptical of people these days, Michael, and I just think there's no way LeBron is announcing his retirement the way people want him to do it, I think.
Dylan, your thoughts, man.
I saw social media was a buzz. Actually, yesterday I was revisiting our valuation of LeBron James's net worth. We published that last summer, just over $1 billion for him, just in case for that contingency. But yeah, definitely. I don't know if I'd call it a letdown necessarily, but not quite what people expected when that one came out.
I guess you won't see Cristiano Ronaldo for Boone's Farm wine. You won't see that coming up anytime soon. Dylan, you are the man, and I appreciate you coming down here and talking with us on Bloomberg Business of Sports. A great article, folks, by the way. Go to the terminal and check it out. You will really appreciate it. Thank you again, Dylan. We appreciate it.
Thanks to both of you. Great to chat.
Up next, we turn to a superstar slugger with big plans for a high-tech golf course.
Here's the next pitch. This is lifted high, and this ball is blasted down the left side, and that lands in the second deck. It is Trout here, a home run. Number 37 of the year. Boy, that ball got out in no time, and Trout will circle the bases.
For Vanessa Perdomo, I'm Michael Barr. You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio around the world.
Get the news you need at the click of a button inside your car. The new Bloomberg Business app, now featuring Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All your favorite Bloomberg radio shows at your fingertips. Download it free in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. This is Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Bloomberg Business of Sports, where we explore the big money issues in the world of sports. I'm Michael Barr.
And I'm Vanessa Perdomo.
Damian will be back next week.
Los Angeles Angels superstar Mike Trout is planning a huge high-end golf course just about 2 hours south of New York City. That's in New Jersey, his home state.
And from the looks of it, it plans to rival some of the most exclusive and high-tech courses in the country. Bloomberg Businessweek contributor Michael Croley has reporting on this. He joins us now to discuss. Michael, welcome to the Bloomberg Business of Sports.
Thanks for having me.
All of a sudden, Mike Trout this is why I wish I was playing golf, where he is debuting a high-end golf club in New Jersey. Tell us about that. And he can make a lot of money out of this.
I think the market, if you do it right, there is a market to make some money off of this. But I think the reason he's doing it is, I think he was looking at things post-baseball career. Not to say he's near the end of his career, wouldn't be for me to say anyways. But I think that he said that they were presented with some opportunities to buy a course. And there was a businessman in New Jersey that he knew that had done some work on his home, or his company had done some work on Mike's home, and brought him an opportunity to actually build a golf course in an old silica sand quarry. So he jumped at the chance to do it. He got into golf during COVID, like a lot of Americans, and took to the game. He played it growing up, but he really fell into it during COVID. And it seemed like a good opportunity, he said, for him and his team to go ahead and take a shot at building this course in Jersey.
It's interesting. I mean, like you had said, instead of buying one that was already existed, building one from scratch and having Tiger Woods design the course, what kind of value do you think that adds to a project like this?
Well, I think it's fair to say if you have a high-profile athlete like Mike Trout, that's going to draw a lot of attention, and then you're going to get a lot of high-net-worth individuals who want to be in that orbit. I don't think that's telling any tales out of school. But you're also going to get a lot of professional athletes that are also very high profile and successful, and they kind of understand that when they go there, maybe they won't be sort of monkeys in a zoo, right? Mm-hmm. They'll actually be able to sort of be themselves, be relaxed, kind of chill out, and sort of understand that they don't have to be on, that they're not the most famous person in the club maybe that day. I think that has a lot to do with, why you would build a club. Then you can sort of create the culture of that club. And I think that sort of adds some value. And I think with Tiger coming on board, his design firm has only done about a dozen projects, even though they've been around since 2006. Now, some of that, I don't know all the particulars of that. I'm going to guess some of that's because he's still busy playing a lot of golf. But I would also guess it's because he's particular about what kinds of projects he wants to do. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense that one high-profile athlete would pick another high-profile athlete who's in that business to design his course and help him create the kind of atmosphere as well as field of play that he wants.
Now, this is in Millville, New Jersey, when it will open in April of 2026. At least that's what they're predicting. And Trout will open it up, which, by the way, Millville is about 2 hours south of New York City. Now, what's happening next year in New York City that following month? We're talking Cup championships, man, and, soccer, and it's going to be huge. I'm wondering if they're going to benefit from all of the soccer fans coming in town.
No, probably not, because it's going to be a private, exclusive club. They're going to cap it at 227 members, so there's not going to be any sort of public play. We've done some stories like this at Pursuits for Bloomberg about sort of the high-end private golf market, and it's really booming right now. We did a story about South Florida last year. About 8 courses are going in just north of West Palm Beach. Those are all super high net worth individuals who are doing that. But these kinds of destination courses that they're called, they're coming online everywhere. There's a big one coming on in Texas that should be opening up later this year. When I say Texas, I mean the middle of nowhere. Like you fly to Amarillo, then you drive 2 hours east to get to this course. So these are high net worth individuals that want to create sort of exclusive opportunities. You go in, you play 18 the first day you arrive, maybe 36 the next day, and then you play 18 before you leave. And so most of these guys, as we said in the article, they're flying in private typically. There's going to be a helipad at Trout's course, for instance, to get you, I think if you drove, it's 30 minutes from the private airstrip, but you can be there in 6 minutes via chopper if you like. And they're all creating different ways of experiencing the property. I think one of the most interesting and unique things about Trout's property that I had not heard before was this idea that if, Michael, you pulled your car in there, you wouldn't see your car again until you leave. They would whisk it away to some underground garage they've got on property. And when you come back to the car, it's been completely detailed inside and out.
Whoa.
Oh.
I should go there for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just going to pull up like I'm lost.
Yeah.
And then tell ID time and show up an hour later. You guys get my car?
The members in New Jersey just go there just to get their car washed.
That's right. So yeah. I think that what we're seeing, though, in the private golf market, you're just seeing a lot of that, a lot of this. And part of this is the golf boom. And part of what happened was that people couldn't get into local country clubs where they lived. Like they literally, the rosters got full very fast. And then if you had certain means, it just became more interesting and perhaps even easier, if as weird as that may sound, to just go somewhere else, right? Go play for 3 days and then come back home.
Just fly away to New Jersey really quick for a little bit, or the middle of Texas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting, about the exclusivity part of it. And tell me about this, because I'm not necessarily an expert on. Does that mean then that they can't or they won't host a PGA or a Live Golf tournament in the future?
I didn't ask them about that. I'm not sure that the course is designed as such to be what we would call a championship course. It seems like it's a course that's designed more for fun and entertainment, which means, in a way, I guess you could say that means easier. But I don't think that's anything that's part of their aspirations. You certainly do have clubs that are in that sort of private high-end market that do have aspirations for that. But that becomes kind of a whole other ball of wax sometimes, where everything around the club is kind of geared for the 7 days that the tournament will be there. And so you could be a member of a club like that, but it really doesn't feel like you're a club because everything's kind of geared towards, those 7 days you host a tournament. My impression from what I got from the team was I don't foresee them doing that. One, I don't think the course is built to sort of host tournaments. Two, I think it's more about what he wants to do is take some of the stuffiness out of golf, which has been happening for a little while now. But instead of just going out with 4 players, maybe we go out 6 or 7 or 8. As long as we kind of keep pace and don't slow anybody down, we can do it that way. If we want to play barefoot, we can play barefoot. There's a lot of things that he wants it. He wants it to be a serious golf club, but he doesn't want it to be a stuffy golf club, and that's a hard needle to thread that a lot of these places are trying to sort of figure out in this kind of new version of golf that's happening right now.
This new course in Vineland, New Jersey, it's right by Millville, which, by the way, is Trout's hometown. And I wonder if the people that designed the course were thinking about the Augusta National Golf Club.
Yeah, I think Tiger's design sort of ethos really comes from the success he's had at Augusta and sort of how that course is sets up. Augusta is an interesting case in the golf world in that it challenges the best players in the world, obviously, every April. But for a regular player playing the appropriate tees, you can still have a lot of fun and get around that course. It doesn't beat you up. And part of the way it does that is it doesn't have high rough, right? So if you miss the fairway and you're off in the rough is not going to be so hard that you can't advance the ball or you can't get around it. The really difficult thing about Augusta are its greens. That's its sort of number one defense. There's a lot of contour, humps and bumps in the greens, as we say. And that's the way Tiger sets up a lot of his courses. They have low rough, wide fairways, so lots of opportunity to hit the short grass. And then when you get around the greens, you have to start making some decisions. And he usually builds typically big greens, so they're receptive to errant shots as well. So you've always got kind of a putt. But if there's a fall off on the green or there's a contour in the green, that could be difficult. But he tries to make his courses pretty receptive.
Mm-hmm. And this is now Mike Trout's, not his first, venture in the world of golf. He's also a limited partner with the TGL, which is Tiger Woods' league, the Tomorrow Golf League. So do you think that we can expect a lot of what Mike Trout does off the diamond and in his post-retirement to really be honed around golf?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised by it. Golf, as we know, is a great networking sport, right? And there's a lot of different people from different types of businesses that play golf and want to be involved in golf. And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. You look at some of the success of like a show like Stick on Apple, as well as like the crazy numbers Happy Gilmore 2 got on Netflix. And I think what those two shows speak to sort of a popularity that I would still say golf is niche, but I would say that niche has gotten larger, right? And I think Trout's both involvement in TGL as well as his course speak to this idea of sort of a more kind of mainstream attitude towards golf, as well as it being a great place and an avenue to find investors or investments that you're interested in, and a way to sort of conduct business and meet people that are interested in things that you are.
We forgot to mention the most neat. Kids still say that? I guess so. But anyway, they can play in the night. There's a course that's there on this, and it's called the Bullpen. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a new thing that's been happening. Probably, I'd say that trend is about 10 years now, where you have an 18-hole, what we could consider a traditional golf course on property, and then you have a short course, what we used to call pitch and putts. You know, what maybe your mom or your dad would stop in and do 9 holes before they came home from work, you know, just par 3 courses. But these have been really becoming popular over the last 10 years at sort of really high-end public resorts like Bandon Dunes and Streamsong in Florida. And then you're starting to see when people build these clubs, they always want an extra sort of 9, 10, 11, 12 holes because some people just don't have the appetite to go out and play another 18 or walk another 18. Typically, these courses are always walking only, too. So what they did at Trout National was they decided, like, let's build another one of these short courses, but let's put some lights under it so that we can kind of keep playing and having fun even after the sun goes down. And that's a trend that we're starting to see at some of these places, too. A lot of resorts. There's even a business model out in Arizona, a place that is sort of, it lights up at night. That's kind of its sort of selling point. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting sort of experience, I think, if you're there on property. And everything's looser, right? So there'll be drinks, there'll be fire pits, there'll be things like that, and it'll be a nice time and a nice experience to play under the lights.
Our thanks to Bloomberg Businessweek contributor Michael Croley for joining us.
Up next, we turn to former NFL Pro Bowler and current Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Olsen. For Vanessa Perdomo, I'm Michael Barr. You are listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports, Bloomberg Radio around the world.
This is Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio.
Thanks for joining us on the Bloomberg Business of Sports, where we explore the big money issues in the world of sports. I'm Michael Barr.
And I'm Vanessa Perdomo.
The NFL season is in full swing and has already seen some surprises.
It's 1st and goal with 30 seconds left. Now Lawrence goes down, has to get up, breaks a tackle, touchdown Jacksonville.
That's right. You want to know about another team? I'm not even surprised. The Detroit Lions. I love my Lions. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done.
They are quite good this year.
No rooting in the press box. I'm sorry.
Joining us now to talk about the NFL season and more is former NFL Pro Bowler and current Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Olsen. He's also founder of Youth Incorporated. Greg, welcome to the Bloomberg Business of Sports.
Yeah, it's great to be on. I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, I want to start with what you are a founder of, which is Youth Incorporated. Tell us what that's all about.
Yeah, so it's kind of what started as a passion project of mine a couple of years ago has now really turned into something that we think is pretty significant. Kind of my backstory of growing up, the son of a high school football coach and, obviously growing up in locker rooms and around youth sports. And, fortunately for me, I was able to make a living out of it. But now I am on the backside of retirement. My playing days are over. And now I'm just a dad. I'm a youth coach. I spend 5-6 days a week on the fields with my sons, or in the court with my daughter, on the track with my daughter, just doing different things. And, over the last couple of years, as they've gotten older, just kind of looking around and saying, this is not an environment that I recognize. It's not a landscape of youth sports experience that I'm familiar with from my upbringing. And, as parents, I think a lot of people around the country are struggling with what is the right plan, what is the right approach, what is the right, what is enough and not enough. And we started, I took the content route initially and went out and started having really cool conversations with some of the biggest thought leaders in the area, mental health specialists, coaches, trainers, professional athletes, Olympians, everyone really across the sport, and just said, hey, what's going on out there? What do we need to know? And as I learned, obviously share with our listeners and kind of go along the journey with them. And then about a year or so ago, we were into the content. I was contacted by my now business partner, Ryan Bays, who was working on some things with his time at Fanatics in the e-commerce space around youth sports, and kind of came across some of our content and said, hey, this is probably a better business aligned than separate. And we relaunched You Think as a content to commerce type of platform where you can go on and find all sorts of educational and informative and entertaining content around youth sports, and then also an entire platform engine of e-commerce to buy your favorite brands with your kids, schools, travel ball clubs, leagues, whatever the case may be, very similar to how you would do for your favorite college or professional sports team. So we've launched. We've been open now live a couple months, and the initial response has been pretty significant.
I want to talk more about a lot of the NFL because I need your predictions because I have to fill out my pick'em charts and all the other stuff. I'm going to get to that in a second. But I would like to ask you about a fellow colleague of yours, Mark Sanchez. He is also a NFL color commentator for Fox. Unfortunately, he got into trouble in Indianapolis. It wound up with a fight with a truck driver, a 69-year-old truck driver. And right now he is facing some charges. You know as much as I do because I'm just following what's in the news out there. Can you give us your comments, sir?
Yeah, I think like anything, I think I always try to hesitate to comment on things that I don't really have a lot of information on. I don't know anything. I don't know anything more than what's been reported. I don't know anything more than anybody else who's, read what, articles or whatnot. I haven't really spent a ton of time diving into it or studying it. I am also not the one to initially just immediately pass judgment on people before we exactly know what went on. Obviously, a situation that's unfortunate played out. Whatever the backstory is, I think we're still trying to sort out what that looks like. I know Mark on a professional level, obviously working at Fox, we've crossed paths at meetings and whatnot. He's always been very kind. He's always been a very good teammate. I don't know him overly well from a personal level. I think in these situations, I think first and foremost, what everybody wants is just for everybody to be healthy. I think obviously there was, the reports differed exactly what the injuries were suffered by both parties. I think obviously first and foremost, you just hope everybody's okay and safe and healthy. And then from there, you just let the process take itself. I think there's a lot of information that still needs to come out. As we all know, every people, do get the benefit of the doubt and presumed and innocent until we find out all the facts. But obviously it sounded like a pretty serious incident. It sounded, very unfortunate. Again, I hope for everybody's sake on all sides that everybody heals and can recover and let the facts kind of come out and sort it. Past that, I don't really make proclamations of condemning people. I feel like there's a process in place that we have in this country to let these things get sorted out the right way. And we just have to have belief that that's what's going to happen here.
Right, absolutely. And again, like you said, hope everyone in that situation is okay and healthy. So moving on to the rest of, the stories in the NFL right now, there's a lot going on. We're getting into the meat of the season here. And one of the things that we saw again happen in week 5 that's been happening a lot is players dropping the ball before they get into the goal line. I know you feel very strongly about this and you've criticized this a lot. I'm with you. Every time I see it, I cannot believe my eyes, Michael. It is just crazy to me. So, Greg, do you think it's more of a problem with showboating? Do you think it's a problem of laziness? What do you think? Is it the coaches? Is it on the coaches to do something about this? Or how does it get solved?
No, I don't think guys are lazy. I never question. I don't ever try to question the effort, the motivations of these guys. To play this sport at this level, you are playing a very physically demanding sport that is very hard on you. So I don't ever question guys' laziness or toughness or any of that. I think it's directly connected to guys are excited to score and are jumping the gun, so to speak, as far as getting into whatever their celebration is, and whether it's a group celebration or an individual celebration. The reality is guys spend a lot of, right or wrong, guys spend a lot of time all week talking about it, thinking about it. We see the organized choreographed dances. We see the celebrations in the end zones. And, it's part of the game. And I don't want to sit here and be like, old man yells at clouds. Like it was not my style, but like to each their own. Like everybody has their own way that they want to play. And that's their right, as long as obviously it's within the confines of the rules and the games and you don't hurt your team. These instances where guys are so anxious to get into their celebration, they're so that they don't finish the play and that they don't finish the ball through the end zone, and that's when it starts to become an issue. And right, you see guys, it happens a lot more, I would say, in the college game. I don't recall off the top of my head seeing it that often in the pro game. Guys are a little bit older and whatnot, but the reality is, listen, whoever it is, and I'm not picking on the kid who did it this weekend from Arizona or any. it can't happen, right? And that's obvious. I think anybody who's ever done it in their career would be the first one to stand up there and say, listen, this just cannot happen, especially at the NFL level. So can you coach it? Yes. Can you emphasize it? Yes. But like, you're not going to go, there's no drills, right? The drill is just hold the ball through the end zone and don't drop it at all. Right. Don't ever let go of the ball until you give it to the official, right? Like that's like the old Barry Sanders kind of approach. So I think it's one of those things that now that it happened, you don't want to be the first guy because you feel embarrassed, but I would much rather not be the second guy. The next guy, if it does happen again this year, that guy really has no excuse and is probably going to get jumped pretty quick. But yeah, the bottom line is it's not personal when these guys get attacked. It's not personal, but listen, it's a bonehead play. You're going to be held accountable, and it just can't happen at this level of football. That's as simple as you can put it.
I'm going to go back in my day and use that quote, and I want to go off on the kickoff rules now. It used to be back in the day when it was the kickoff. Yeah, my man would take it, and if he didn't come out of the end zone or the ball went back in the end zone, you just start on the 20. Now, Greg, I'm confused now. It's like, what do you think of the new kickoff rules?
No, I actually think it adds a layer of intrigue. And it is confusing, right? Like a true touchback comes out to the 35, but a touchback that lands in the landing zone then goes in the end zone for a touchback, comes out to the 30. If you kick it out of bounds or short of the landing zone, it goes to the 40. So, like, there is a lot of nuance to the rule. And it is, I'll be honest, I watch the game sometimes and still have to, like, second guess myself if I even have the rules straight because it's changed a bunch. The one, aside from just the increase of returns and increase of exciting plays, I do think there is an element that maybe doesn't get talked enough about that has been, whether it's a conscious byproduct or a design one, I don't know. But there is a lot of change in the gamesmanship of how teams are playing, right? Because in the old days, like you're referencing, I had the ball at the 5-yard line on offense. I had to make a decision on fourth down, whether to go for the ball and whether to go for the touchdown up, inside the 5-yard line goal to go situation, because it was either I fail and you get the ball at the 5, or I kick a field goal, I kick a touchback, you get the ball at the 20. You're giving up like 15 yards of field position, and I got 3 points. Now I kick a field goal from the 5, I get 3 points, but now if I kick a touchback that lands in the end zone, it goes to the 35. I've now given up 30 yards. Yeah. And with how good these kickers are, you get the ball, you get the Dallas Cowboys the ball at the 35-yard line. 15 yards later, they get the ball around midfield, and Brandon Aubrey's in field goal range, right? So I think we're seeing a lot more teams using goal-to-go situations on fourth down because they're saying it's not worth me kicking off to you to give you the ball at the 30 or the 35-yard line and only get 3 points out of it. Even though if I get 0 because you stop me, you have the ball on your own 5-yard line. The likelihood of me getting the ball back if I can stop you around midfield to go score again is a better odds of me scoring than giving you the ball at the 35-yard line to, get into field goal range. So I think you're seeing a lot of teams start taking into account what the kickoff rule does to offense and defense, and not just looking at it in the terms of just returning the ball or not.
Our thanks to former NFL Pro Bowler and Youth Incorporated founder Greg Olsen for joining us. You can hear him calling NFL games on Fox every Sunday. And that does it for this edition of the Bloomberg Business of Sports. For Vanessa Perdomo, I'm Michael Barr.
Tune in again next week for the latest on the stories moving big money in the world of sports. And subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Darn tootin'. You're listening to the Bloomberg Business of Sports from Bloomberg Radio around the world.